So I'm Savanna Lyons, I'm Program Director of Refresh Appalachia, and for the last 10 years I've been involved in a lot of different local food kind of capacity building, network, technical assistance stuff with food entrepreneurs. And I was involved with the Appalachian Cluster Initiative project that Earl was talking about and some other things. And I'm really excited to be here today representing Refresh Appalachia, which is a pretty new project. And I'm excited to be representing it because it's layering up workforce development and food access and personal development and education in a lot of really interesting ways and working at a really fast pace. And so I'm really proud to be part of this team. So Refresh Appalachia, we're based in West Virginia and we're part of Coalfield Development Corporation, which is a workforce development organization that's been around since 2009. And we're kind of the food and agriculture arm of Coalfield Development Corporation. Coalfield Development provides workforce development through kind of crew-based on-the-job training. And so we do that, but we also do some other things to help build capacity in the food system. So growing farmers is kind of the main component of what we do. And we work with both disadvantaged youth in the coal fields of West Virginia and also with people who've been employed in the coal industry or who have lost their jobs because of job loss in the coal industry. So they work in crews, kind of in the same way that they do with all of Coalfield Development Corporation, and they follow what we call a 33-6-3 model, which some people are smiling because they've heard about this a lot, which is 33 hours a week of on-the-job training, plus 6 hours a week of classes at a community and technical college, plus 3 hours a week of personal development activities with folks who are part of our staff. And so through this process, they work towards earning an associate's degree in 2 to 2.5 years. That's the model for all of Coalfield Development Corporation, and we do it with food and ag entrepreneurship. That's part of our effort to grow farmers, and then we also provide services for other farmers in the coal fields who we kind of try to work with farmers who have experienced unemployment or underemployment because of the transition away from coal. But we work with lots of different folks, and we try to provide market opportunities for those folks through our food hubs, processing opportunities through our mobile poultry processing facilities that we have, and also some education and training. So we do about 5 to 10 workshops a year for farmers. And then in the strengthening systems category, so we have recently started operating a very small food hub. We're trying to grow it. Has both a wholesale and a direct-to-consumer component. We're planning to scale up quite a bit in the next 3 years. So we do a weekly distribution route. Right now we're mostly focusing on wholesale customers, but we also are starting to do more direct-to-consumer activities, which ties into food access. And we also try to fill gaps in the system. So one gap is aggregation and distribution. There's not a lot of folks working in the coal fields to aggregate products from farmers and distribute them. Another gap is processing. There's also, we have a special kind of flexibility to be experimental because we're a nonprofit, and I kind of think that an appropriate role for a nonprofit that's working in social entrepreneurship is to test drive ideas that are maybe too risky for individual entrepreneurs to try and sort of pave the way and collect some lessons learned and then help other folks to follow along with a little bit less risk. And so that's kind of what we're doing, for example, with the Corridor project Earl talked about with Appalachian Sustainable Development. We've been able to sell hard squash to them and become GAP certified, and really to do something that nobody else in our region had done before, which is to have produce distributed from West Virginia in the coal fields throughout the Southeast, which is pretty exciting for us. So that's kind of the strengthening systems piece. And then the food access piece is something that's really interesting because it's a part of our mission. It's not necessarily a part of our explicit programming, but it definitely happens. And I sort of think of food access as more like a combination of sort of food awareness and food sovereignty and food IQ. It's like, how engaged are you with food production? How much do you understand about where your food comes from, and how comfortable are you with cooking and thinking about food in your daily life? And we kind of have different, I like to think of them as concentric circles of engagement, different levels, different sort of groups of people that we engage with to help with sort of food awareness, food IQ, food access. We have our crew members. Right now there's 11 of them. We're scaling up to 40 in the next couple of years and adding a couple of sites. They engage with food really deeply because they grow it, and sometimes that's the best way to become more engaged in nutrition because you're marketing your product, and as you're marketing your product, you're learning about it. And so we've done a lot of like project-based learning activities with studying and understanding the nutritional characteristics of food, and marketing it to other people, recipe development, doing samples. So this is all stuff that our crew members participate in, and most of them are underemployed, unemployed, disadvantaged, so they're coming from a place of maybe not having had a lot of these opportunities. And then who do they touch? Well, they also touch their coworkers and other people at Coalfield Development Corporation. So we started these monthly pop-up markets where when we get everybody together for a Coalfield-wide meeting, we have about 40 people, we do these pop-up farmers markets, and people can buy healthy local food, and they hear a presentation about a different vegetable every month, and we kind of feature what our crews have grown, and there's a personal connection because the folks in our crews are talking to other young people who are their age and who they're friends with about the value of this food. And then kind of the next concentric circle is our community. And so we engage with our community in a lot of different ways, but we're starting to do more with the CSA food box program for delivery to workplaces and churches, and trying to figure out how to do a SNAP dollar match through CSA programs so people can get food delivered to places where it's easily accessible to them, to kind of make the healthy choice the easy choice, as they say. So those are the different pieces of what we do. Something that I think is really important about our model, and I can't totally see, I'm not sure if the text is showing up, but I think that we train our folks to be critical thinkers and problem solvers, and to be flexible and versatile in different situations. We do that through business planning, through evaluation of how the farm season is going, and I think that's a pretty key part of surviving the Appalachian transition. And so I hope I get to talk more about that. But I think that being an entrepreneur requires a lot of different skills, and it requires non-cognitive skills. It requires personal skills, communication skills, creativity, and willingness to try new things. And so that's part of what we're trying to help folks develop.